Let's welcome in the next two members of our panel right here. Ryan Callahan from Go Vols 24/7, and right there Bob Hodge from the Sports Source.
From the Sports Source.
From that chair, Bob Hodge.
Exactly. For this long, yes, from the Sports Source. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Ryan, the Vols got a commitment yesterday. Who was he? Who did they beat to get him?
Yeah, beat out a number of good programs for an in-state offensive lineman. Gabriel Enda, originally from Canada, went to a school in Florida and then transferred to Baylor School in Chattanooga back in the summer. So he's not a born and bred Tennessee kid, but still one that's in-state and became more important to Tennessee after he got to Chattanooga. So big pickup there, beating out. He's got more than 25 offers already. He's 6'7", 330 pounds. So a big kid who moves very well. Only spent a couple years on the offensive line so far, former defensive lineman. I think you like that kind of profile. So good athlete, a lot of upside there, and already a good player. Showed well this week. He announced his decision at the Navy All-American Bowl in San Antonio. Had a good showing in an all-star setting this week. So I think a nice pickup there for Tennessee in-state.
I saw some grumbles that, well, he's only a 3-star. Sounds like you're 6'7", probably going to wind up a 4-star.
Well, we'll see, but I'll say
it's
this.
Usually what happens when you sign with the SEC team, you jump.
Yeah.
Very real possibility, but I'll say this. We haven't even had a round of postseason rankings updates yet. So let's see. Our analysts haven't gone back and seen what they think of a guy after his junior season. They've obviously got a chance now to base an evaluation on what they saw in San Antonio this week. So I think there's multiple opportunities for him to move up in the coming months, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if that happens.
And not to mention the fact that, as we've said on this show for years, the rating, I've always said it's a compass. It's not a GPS. And that's especially true when you're talking about one player. If you show me, well, this guy's a 3-star, that really doesn't tell me a ton. If you show me Tennessee has signed 25 3-stars and 2 4-stars, then I'll point to, well, there's an issue.
Yeah.
Because in the whole, you're just getting this 3-star talent. But
And I
one
think
guy
you also
who
look
knows.
at who they beat out.
Yeah.
Florida was the runner-up in this case. South Carolina and Minnesota, Minnesota being close to Canada, I think that was the outlier there.
So they're still not beating out Ohio State and Bama and Georgia.
Georgia and Ohio State had both offered in November, so good offer list, beating out good talent, good competition.
Darn it! I wanted to be mean. I couldn't be. All right. Then let me ask you this: that's great. That's well and good. Fans are still freaking out. Where's the portal news? Portal. Where are the portal people?
They did get one this week.
Go ahead and talk about him. Amari
Jefferson. So I think a really good pickup here, and kind of almost under the radar for what he was coming out of high school.
Because he didn't play last year.
Yeah, a top 247 prospect, 4-star coming out of high school, and Tennessee just recruited him a little more than a year ago. Lost out to Alabama. He goes to Alabama to play for Nick Saban though, and now. He's not playing for Nick Saban. He gets to sit out this year, didn't have a chance to play, and then suffers a little hip injury that required a surgery that he should be back from that in time for spring practice, but still something he had to deal with. So just not the first year he envisioned, doesn't feel the fit there anymore, decides he wants to go back home. So I think a nice pickup there for Tennessee, though, considering the need at wide receiver and considering what his upside is, because that's a high-level potential guy that they viewed as a top target just a little more than a year ago. So that's, I think, a nice pickup and kind of a way to, in their mind, maybe right or wrong from the past where you missed out on an in-state kid that you really liked.
Okay, well, I'm playing the role of Vol fan on social media today. Okay, so when I say portal, what I mean is a lot of these folks are looking at it and they see, let's see, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people going, and who's coming in? 1 and 2 and
Yeah.
where is everybody? It's the John Travolta meme. Yeah. Where is everybody? You've got 2 coming in.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch leaving. People apparently assume that when you have this many leave, you're going to have that many come in. That is not going to be the case with Tennessee. We talked about it a little last week. But what I want to talk about is roster crunch, okay? Now, talk to me about this roster, because one thing I've gotten a lot of is, I don't want to hear about your scholarship reductions. They still have those. Mm-hmm. Talk about that. First, explain that.
Yeah, so not substantial, but it is something you're dealing with. You're down 2, maybe 3 scholarships. It's up to Tennessee, really, how they decide to handle it, but they've got to be down at least 2 each year during the probationary period. So they've still got to deal with that. So they're looking at 82, 83 scholarships. Again, not a huge hindrance, but when you are bringing in this recruiting class of 25, that's a big deal. So they didn't have a huge senior class. You had some transfers leave, but not an excessive amount by the national standard. You're seeing USC and some of these other programs lose 20-plus players to the portal. Tennessee's had in the teens, I believe, is the total now, but not quite as many as some other programs. So when you combine that with the senior class, not as much space. Now, that's not to say that's why Tennessee only has 2 transfer portal additions. They could have more, but they're not looking at a huge number of open spots on the roster right now.
I'm getting a lot of people that say, well, we talked about this yesterday on the phone. A lot of people are saying, hey, you don't have to give them scholarships anymore. You got NIL dollars.
Yeah.
Just tell them you're a walk-on, but here's $500,000, be happy. that's not really feasible in your view.
Easier said than done. You got to have the right player to be able to pull off the non-scholarship thing. You can do that, but at the end of the day, most kids are going to say, well, I can go here and be on scholarship. Why am I going to take that? Someone else can be not on scholarship. Why does it have to be me? So at the end of the day, I don't hear that conversation come up as much as people might think, because it's a status thing. You don't want to be seen as a non-scholarship player in most cases. It takes the right, Deshaun Bishop started his career as a preferred walk-on. That's a different situation. Out of high school, he was going to go to Coastal Carolina and then ended up at Tennessee. So you got to have the right player for that.
Well, and you're certainly not going to see it on a transfer portal.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring a kid in and not give him a scholarship.
For a guy who has an option to go to another SEC school, especially.
Okay, there we go. So we knocked out all the information I wanted to get out there. Now I'm just going to open it up for discussion. Any questions for Ryan from Josh or from Bob? Or do you guys have any opinions on the people that are kind of clamoring for more portal news?
Well, I think offensive line is still a position to try to target, and I think Tennessee's going after that. But what do you think there in terms of trying to build up front? Because wide receivers gotten so much attention, protecting and blocking up front is still a big deal.
Yeah.
And you tried to get a kid from Northwestern, and that didn't go through.
Yeah, Josh Thompson, they were pretty close on him. LSU comes in, makes a big push, and lands him, so you miss out on him. But they've gone after another
Big
one.
push.
Gone after another one this week. Hosted Emmanuel Pregnon, the USC transfer, former Wyoming transfer, second team All Big Ten player. So a really high profile addition. He's currently a top 10 player for 24/7 Sports among all transfer portal players for this cycle. So that would be a big deal. He was just on campus a couple days ago. Texas this weekend. We'll see if another visit after that. But definitely someone Tennessee would love to add. So they're still looking for guard help and definitely want another interior lineman if they can find the right one. The key is if you don't get Pregnon, who's left after that? The portal's starting to wind down. Even though the portal closed a couple weeks ago, you can still enter if your team just ended their season. So there's still maybe more opportunities out there. Wide receiver, and I would say running back is still another position they'd like to add at least one more body. But as far as the number of guys they're going to add, I don't know that it's going to be 7 or 8 this cycle. We'll see what they get to, but I think it's going to probably be closer to 5 or so.
I started to say, it sounds like there's just 1 or 2 more portal that can come in. It would be a surprise to me. Now, you cover it a lot. You cover it. I don't. I haven't heard enough talk there to think that there's going to be 3 or 4 more coming in. Well, I just hear the couple of positions. So you think it could be as many as what?
It depends on, because I think some of this may carry over into the spring. Are they going to get a defensive lineman? Defensive line would be another position they maybe could add one. Are they going to get all that done before the end of the winter period? So I think there's a chance this goes over into the spring. And by that time, you could have more guys who enter the transfer portal from Tennessee's roster. The headache's not over for Tennessee just yet. You've got to worry about this again in April. So there's maybe a chance for some others to leave that could open the door for a couple more additions.
Or you can look forward to it again in April if you're really wanting to get guys.
Right.
I thought the interesting thing was what you just said about guys, they want to be scholarship players.
Yeah.
If I was a kid and somebody said, you can be a millionaire without a scholarship, or you can have a scholarship, I'll take the million. I mean, I just wonder if that attitude might change, because if the money's close, okay, I get it. But, okay, you're going to have to pay your own way to school, but we're going to give you an extra $100,000 to do it.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that attitude
A little bit more than what I got for books.
Yeah.
Also easier said than done, though, because who wants to give away $100,000 that could get you another pretty good player in a lot of cases? I mean, that's the flip side, is that money still has real value on the NIL market to go get somebody else. So you're trying to save every dollar you can to use on the next guy.
Well, you're trying to spend every dollar you can and save every dollar you can.
Yeah.
Sounds like the way I budget.
It's a perfect lead in to our next segment. We're going to be talking about NIL for the next couple of segments here. And when we come back, I want to talk specifically about the way Lane Kiffin builds his roster and the way Josh Heupel builds his roster. There are advantages you can find for both. Let's talk about what those are. Come on back on the Sports Source.